Hello, welcome. What we're going to do today is we're going to do some bank reconciliations. I'm going to go through some examples of bank reconciliations and I'm going to talk about it. I'm not going to sort of throughout this. You're going to do some activities as well. However, I'm not going to sort of pause this video in there, so you'll have to do some pauses as we're going along, if that's okay. Your bit of interaction as well as doing the questions, and we'll see how this works. Right, so bank reconciliations then. What we've got then is if I take you through, we got on page 13 of your Bookkeeping Controls workbook. You've got example 3.5 in here. We'll go through how to do this bank reconciliation, and then I'll take you through 3 others as well. So we have 4 in total. And the way in which we're going to do it is just simply doing these again and again and again. I'll explain how it works out, and hopefully that will help. So the point of a bank reconciliation is we've got this this bank statement here, over here, and we've got our cash book that we prepared over here. And I want to check whether, on the one hand, does this cash book have everything in? And then there might be something over here that should be in that we haven't been told about yet. And also as well, are there any errors? Well, this is reality. This bank statement is reality over here. You prepared this. Let's say the person who's prepared this is, but that might not be right. And it might be because they've generally made some errors. They might be trying to be perpetrate some kind of fraud. So the bank reconciliation is really sort of something where we're sort of saying, right, well, yeah, okay, this is what this is sort of said to be. You know, this is what our cash position said to be. But what is reality over here? And do they reconcile? Okay, now they don't have to be exact in terms of the balance in the bank statement. It doesn't have to be exactly the same as the balance in the cash book, because there are things known as timing differences. But they need to be able to reconcile. Yeah, so what would there be some sort of timing differences? Well, in the last lesson, we went through that. You know, we write out a check and pay it to somebody, but they would be having some time to put it in their bank, and to clear. So we would have put our check in our payments here in our cash book, because we put it in exactly as soon as we've written the check. We've written the check and then we sent it out. It would go in this cash book, but there'll be some time before it actually hits this paid out line here in the bank statement. So this sort of 697 here to another 3rd of June. But what you can see here on the 8th of June is that's the point when it clears. There's this timing difference. So there's going to be timing differences when you get to the end of the month. Here, this is going to be different to what would be in the end of the month over here. So this is what the bank reconciliation does. There would also be some things which we wouldn't know about. So things in the cash, we've completed our cash book, but there'll be some things over here that banks are putting in terms of either some backs credits figures or some bank charges. We wouldn't know about those until we get the bank statements in. So that's what we're going to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to do these bank statements in really 4 easy steps now, but I'm going to call them 3. So step 1. What we do in our bank statement, so if we've got to do this reconciliation, is you're going to go through and you're going to tick off through here everything in here that's in here. Now remember as well that the bank statement is from the bank's perspective, and this is really what you get to see what the examiner decides to give you. But any kind of debits on the bank statement, if we're having this on a sort of debit kind of thing here set up, is going to be credits in the cash book, and any credits in the bank statement will be debits in the cash book. This balance here, which is called credit in here, will effectively be your debit balance, because this is from the bank's perspective. So it's the bank. If you're in credit to the bank, then it's a debit in your general ledger. If you're in debit to the bank, so the bank basically has you as a debtor, then you're in credit to them. You'll be credits in your general ledger. So first things what I'd like you to do, pause this. I'll pause this now, and now tick off everything that you can see between these in this bank statement here that is on this cash book. What I want you to do as well is don't mess about. Don't put like some little tick to the side or something. Put just a line through. But also, I would, if it was me personally, I would do this in pencil. I have a line through and a quite sharp pencil in there, so it's through it, but I could still go back and see the numbers if I made a mistake. So that would be the first thing you do. If you do that now, pause this film and get on and do it. So hopefully you've pressed play. We're still here and doing our bank reconciliation. So we're going to go through, and you'll see that we have ticked off the items in both. Okay. So I've gone through and I put a line through these various items here, and they're coming in. So there's a 412 there, there's a 412 there, and you can see that I've done a nice line. I've gone through so that it's quite clear what hasn't been ticked off, but similarly I can go back and see the numbers. So don't completely obliterate it, but similarly give yourself a good thing so it stands up in an exam. Now we're then going to have another step in step 1, which is step 1b. And we're going to reconcile the brought forward balances. So you'll see here that the brought forward balance in the cash book here is 1830, but the brought forward balance is 2685. So we're going to reconcile the difference in there, those two, and that is going to give you an extra amount that you're going to tick off. So this is £850 lower than the bank statement. So that's telling us that there's a payment, a check, that must be there outstanding at the previous bank reconciliation that we've also got to tick off as well, and that one's here. Now, in reality, in real life, you would do this step first. You would do step 1b first. You would actually reconcile forward the last bank reconciliation, and you tick off that there, and then you start doing the other ticks. The examiner can't do that for you, because if the examiner gave you last month's bank reconciliation, by definition the examiner is telling you how to do bank reconciliation, so they can't do that in the exam. What they're going to do is they're not going to give you the previous bank reconciliation, which I don't think they're going to, so that you have to do work this out yourself. And so the reason why I'm saying do this one first, this step first, is because actually it takes out everything except for these 3 items in here, and then when we look at it, oh, that's £855 and it's quick and it's there. It's possible that it could be a combination, you see, of a couple of things. If you then started to try, if you hadn't done the other ticks first and you started to try and add these things together or work it out, let's say there was an addition and a payment out and a payment in, and you're trying to do that, then it could take longer and you could get it wrong and get a little bit more frustrated. So in the exam, the order is tick off the items across both and then do the reconciliation. In real life, it's tick off the things from the previous reconciliation and then do the ticks. Hopefully that makes sense. So we've now reconciled up, and we've reconciled the start of our balance. We've ticked off our items, and what we can see here is that we've got some things on the bank statement that haven't been ticked off. So what we do now is redo the cash book. So work out what the brought forward or the carried forward figure is from here. Then add in this receipt. This is a paid in, and add in this bank charge in here and recreate the cash book. Work out, if you press pause now, work out what your cash book should be and do that. So that step 2 will be you look at the bank statement and you work out what you haven't ticked, and then you're going to adjust the cash book. Okay, so if you do that now, leaving all these other things that you haven't ticked in as well, so just work out what the brought forward or work out what the carried forward position is in the cash book. Get that first, then add these unticked items off the bank statement in second, get then your new carried forward cash book. Press pause and I'll come back in a minute. Right, so hopefully you've redone the cash book and you should get that the new carried forward position is actually that. So that's what our carried forward position is, and that's what our cash book is now. So that's the figure that we're trying to get to. If we look at our bank statement though, we can see that actually it's 3108 in credit, and yet our cash book is saying that actually we are 3871 in credit, a 38871 debit in our general ledger. So what's the difference? Well, the difference is these things in the cash book that you haven't ticked off. So these payments, these checks, which are known as unpresented checks here, and these receipts that haven't actually hit the bank statement either. You know, we've received some checks in, we've gone along to the bank, we've paid them into the bank, but they've not actually appeared yet. You can see how they're the 25th and the 28th of June. And we're having them there. So what you're going to now do is you're going to do the bank reconciliation. So you're going to start with the bank statement, that figure. You're going to take off the unpresented checks, and you're going to add in the outstanding lodgements. And when you do that, you should hopefully get to that figure there. So if you do, I'll press pause again, do that for me, and then we'll see what the answer is. So hopefully you've created that. So here was the bank statement figure, this debit figure here. We take off unpresented checks, which were the unticked items there. We've added on the outstanding lodgements here, and that minus that plus that is that figure in the cash book, and that's your bank reconciliation. So that's bank reconciliation number 1. Hopefully you got that right. And now let's go and do some more bank reconciliations. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do the examples in the Bookkeeping Controls tutorial book. So this one is 3.3 on page 38. Okay, so it's about Tom Reed's cash book, and here we have our cash book here, and here we have our bank statement. So it's quite nice in terms of they told us about payments and receipts, and then we've got this balance figure here again. We've got this balance set out. Look at it from the bank's perspective. So these credits will actually be on the debit side, you know, as a debit carried forward. So just remember that in your head. This thing here is actually positive 207 debit cash that they're sort of saying. Cash book is saying it's £200 positive, and now we're going to reconcile that. So step number 1, I'll press pause again, tick off the items that are on the cash book that are also on the bank statement. If you do that, and hopefully you should have this. So you can see I've ticked off these various things here. Tick through there. So that's step 1. Step 2, we're going to reconcile the brought forward figures. Sorry, step 1b, we're going to reconcile them. Actually, we'll see that they're the same. So when we compare the opening position, they're the same. We don't have anything else that we've got to tick off there. So that step 1b is out of the way. Now step 2, you're going to redo this cash book. So you've got this cash book here for the things that are on the bank statement that haven't been ticked off. And what we actually see is that there isn't anything in step 2, is there? Because we've ticked off everything in the bank statement. Yeah? So we've done it. Everything's ticked off. So it's just exactly the same. So now we've got to get from this £200 here in our cash book to this £207 in our bank statement. So what we're going to do is we're going to take off the outstanding checks or unpresented checks. So we take off the unpresented checks, and we're going to add on outstanding lodgements. So if you do that for me now, press pause. If you do that, and you should have a bank reconciliation. Okay, so here's our bank reconciliation here. There's a bank statement. That 207 credit in the bank statement turns into a £207 debit in the bank reconciliation. We've taken off the unpresented checks. We've added in the outstanding lodgements, and we get to the figure in our cash book. And that is the second bank reconciliation. Okay, hopefully you got that. Let's move on then to third example. So this is 3.4 on page 39. Here, so we've got PGR's cash book. Here we've got a balance brought forward. We've got this. We've got a figure. We've got to add them all up. So we have to add all up and see whatever the balance brought forward, balance carry forward figure is first. So if we work that out, add up the carry that up. And so step 1, do the ticking off. Tick off whatever's in here. So tick those items off in there. Whatever's on the cash book and whatever's in the bank statement, tick those out off for me. Pause it again as well if you want to do that. And then when you come back, hopefully we've got the tick off the items, and this is the first lot that we've ticked off. Okay, that's step 1. We've ticked off the items here. So this 100 here, this 100 here, this 398 is here, 229 is here, and that's there. We ticked up those items. Let's do 1b. Let's compare the opening. So this £800 and 50 pence credit. Well, that's a debit, isn't it? £800 and 50 pence debit here. They're exactly the same, so no adjustment required. There's nothing extra that needs to be ticked off in our bank statement. So number two, right, so if you pause now then, after you've done section 2, which is redo the cashbook. So work out what the cashbook should be by adding up your items here to work out what the normal carried forward is, and then add in anything else that you see that isn't ticked on the bank statement. Okay, so if you pause now, you do that, and recreate the cashbook for me. And welcome back. And so redoing the cashbook, we've got this figure here in terms of our so we've got all those items added up to so all of these items and all of these items add up to these two figures here. We have this as a backs payment here, or backs receipt, sorry, that here, and this £5.50 of interest there. And then we got this direct debit over here, this 207 payment here. So that's our, if you add that up, that is what our new carried forward figure is. So that is our carried forward figure in the cashbook, and that's what we want to get to. So we've got a debit balance of £929 and 20 pence. So the next thing you're going to do is step 3. Is you're then going to do the bank reconciliation to get back from this payment here, this because we've got £929 and 20 pence, but the bank statement is telling us it's 1,081 and 95 pence. So we're going to get from there to there. So you're going to go to the cash book and see well what is the unpresented checks, and you're going to add in the outstanding lodgement. So if you pause now and then you go and do that for me, I'll see you back, and hopefully you should have a bank reconciliation. Okay, so this is what the bank reconciliation should look like. Here's our cash book figure at the bottom, which is there. We've got the bank statement figure here, which was 1,081 and 95 pence credit. Of course, yes, and so that would be a debit figure, which is there. Here's the unpresented checks here. Our unpresented checks here, which we hadn't ticked off. And here's our outstanding lodgements, which is here. And so that there, £1,081 and 95 pence minus £488 and 50 pence of unpresented checks, and add back £335 and 75 pence of outstanding lodgements. That is what the cash book figure is. And this time I'll go through this a bit more as well again. Remember, this is the cash, and this is the bank statement figure. This is what they're sort of saying, but they haven't had hit yet these checks that we've written. We put them into our cash book, but they've not cleared the bank statement yet, so that will bring that figure down. But we've also received this check in, whatever it is, this payment in. That's not hit the bank statement either yet, so that would push our bank figure up and get us to there. So that minus that plus that gets us to there. So that's our bank reconciliation here. Let's now do I think the last one, example number 4, which is 3.5, question 3.5 on page 40 of your workbook. And this is Jane Doyle's cash book here. So step number 1, tick off the items that are on here that are on the bank statement as well. And so if you pause this for me now and then do that for me, and hopefully welcome back, and you should be now here with these things ticked off. So that's step number 1. Let's do step number 2. Sorry, step number 1B, which we're going to reconcile the brought forward balances. You'll see these here. So if you just do that for me now, and see what else you should tick off, and welcome back. And you see the difference is 100, that is 300 and that is 400. So that's a 400 debit in the bank statement. There's a 300 debit in the cash book. Well, 400 credits are in the bank statement, which is a 400 debit in our balance. 300 debit in the cash book. So there's £100 different, £100 payment that must have been made to get from here to here, and that's this one here. So you're going to scribble that one out as well, which hopefully you've done. And that's we're now in a situation where we've done the whole of step 1. Now step 2, you're going to go. This is the cash book here. You're going to redo the cash book. Now redo the carry. So work out what the carry forward position is first of all. Then you're going to redo that by adding in anything that's on the bank statement that hasn't been ticked off. That line there should be through that one, by the way. If you pause this for me and then do that for me now, And hopefully, when you come back to do the Cashbook, here we are. Here's our carry forward position here. Well, there's all the items in that one bit. So all the items in the Cashbook here, and all the items in the Cashbook there, add up to that and that. I've added back in these things that we've seen here, these charges here. So we had payments there. So we've got a standing order that we didn't know about, and we've got a bank charges of £10 which we didn't know about. So I've taken those off. So that reduces the carry forward position to that amount. So that's what we got to get to. So we got £498 debit, credit in our bank statement, which is a debit, and in our general ledger. £498 positive asset that we want to get to, but our cash book is only saying it's £428. So now what I'd like you to do is I'd like to do the complete the bank reconciliation for me, please. If you just pause me and just complete this, and hopefully welcome back. And this is how your bank reconciliation should look. Here's the bank statement: £498 of an asset, credit on the bank statement, debit in our ledgers or to us. And then if we go through in terms of things that haven't been ticked off, well, we haven't ticked off this payment. So this is the unpresented check. We've sent out a check to E. Deacon. He hasn't put it into the bank yet. That's there. But we paid in this cash here, and that's not cleared either. So there's the unprojected checks. So that minus the unpresented checks is, and then adding on the outstanding lodgements gets us to that. And so that's it. Those are the examples. I hope you enjoyed this. What I'd like you to do then, if you can practice, please, on examples 3.6 and 3.7. That should hopefully mean that you've got bank reconciliations absolutely nailed down. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for listening.